Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is SJ and I make baby name videos every single week here on YouTube. I also consult on baby names. I've done some celebrity podcasts, the royal baby names, so you may have seen me out and about in the press. Just to start, it started to pour with rain. Can you hear that? Oh my god, a storm is brewing. This week I was doing a really excited for this list. Thank you so much for requesting it. I really rely on your requests to come up with new ideas for this channel, so don't forget to request a baby name list below, or a personal dilemma list. I do another one of those. I've done a few where I've answered your baby name dilemmas. We are reaching nearly 100k here on my channel, so if you have watched a couple of these, do hit subscribe if you want to keep watching them. And also I've got a very exciting video on Wednesday, so hit the little notification bell so you are here for that. This list is so close to my heart because I've gone through all of the classic children's books and found the ones with the most beautiful names. I really love literary names, and I think choosing a literary name based on a childhood classic that you loved is such a beautiful thing for a little baby. And their names are so gorgeous and come with such sort of memories and meanings. So these are my favourite childhood classics. I think I'm going to love the list because it's going to be fun just to talk about books that we grew up with as well, and there's some really funny ones in here that I'd kind of forgotten about. So we're going to hear books, you're going to hear names, you're going to hear statistics, where these names are and their meanings. If you're making a baby name list, either because you're pregnant or just because we all need a baby name list on our iPhones. For those baby naming emergencies, we never know. Meghan and Harry may get pregnant again and they might call on us for an emergency list on our phone, so keep that list going. And let's get on with this one. So first up, these are in no particular order, it's just the way they popped into my head. And first up is the name Arietti. Arietti is a character from The Borrowers. I was obsessed with The Borrowers when I was little. They are tiny little people. I was obsessed with anything with tiny little people in. I always wanted to be like Thumbelina and like sleep in a matchbox. Yeah, just was a thing that I loved, and Arietti, just such a gorgeous name. I think somebody here has a little baby Arietti, so hands up so we can all heart it if it is you. And there's a new Netflix show called Arietti, new Netflix kids thing called Arietti, which I guess is about her. I might watch that later. I've got a load of history, but putting the sounds together, it comes up as meaning lion star. So Ari kind of meaning lion, and Eti in Persian meaning star. So lion star is another gorgeous meaning as well. So Arietti, I think, is so modern. It is actually being used. There were no babies called Arietti in 2011, but 18 last year. So yes, Arietti is in use. Next up is the name Coraline. So Coraline is not one of my childhood classics. It's a Neil Gaiman book, and I actually read it. It's a novella, a very short story. I read it for my book club. And Coraline was probably about the only one I managed to finish, and it was about a little girl whose parents become and have buttons for their eyes, so it's quite creepy. And then they brought out the animation as well, and actually Neil Gaiman said that what happened was he was writing another short story and he misspelt the name Caroline as Coraline, and then his quote was, "I just wanted to know who this was and who this little girl could be." So I love how writers think. I know some of you are writers. I just find it absolutely fascinating that you almost feel like you meet your characters rather than create them. But Coraline I really love. Obviously Caroline is a really well-worn name, and not so popular anymore, but Coraline is starting to rise up the charts. There were 13 girls named Coraline last year, so still quite outsider, but people are looking at it, reading the book, watching the show, the animation, and really loving the name. Another book that I read later but loved is Lyra from His Dark Materials, Philip Pullman, Lyra. What an amazing series. I'm not a mad sci-fi fantasy girl, but that really, I loved it so much. I got totally into the world and the name Lyra, and a lot of people did as well. Lyra is a really popular name. It's zoomed up the charts in the last few years and is now ranked at number 142 already. So if you like something like Isla, which is similar sounding, or even Luna, which are becoming even more popular, you could go with something like Lyra, and then it has the lovely link to the Philip Pullman books if you really enjoyed them like I did. What's interesting is it also is a constellation name. So Lyra comes from the Greek Lyra. I don't know what I'm saying. It must just be pronounced the same, but it's spelled L-Y-R-E, Lyra. Oh, sorry, the Lyra of Orpheus, which contained the star Vega. So it could make a really lovely choice if you're into, it says here, music, astronomy, mythology. So much goes with the name Lyra. I love star constellation names. A lot of you do. I have done a whole star space inspired name list. If you want to read more of those. But Lyra, yes, such a great character, such a great name. How about this? How about Mildred from The Worst Witch? The Worst Witch books were my faves. I remember reading them in the back of the car, like on our way to our like caravan holidays and stuff. And I just absolutely loved them. And now my kids are rediscovering them as well, and they really, really like it. And I just got really hooked reading them again to the kids on the names. So they're really old-fashioned names. So we've got Mildred, who is the main character. But it's kind of coming back. It's a very kind of geek chic name for girls, Mildred, because it's kind of got that older, old-fashioned, not yet back in style thing going for it. And it's not ranked at the moment. Her friends in the book are really interesting as well. So they are Enid, Ethel and Maud, and they're kind of like the gang who are at this kind of witch school, and yeah, she's the worst witch. She's very like clumsy and gets everything wrong, but obviously her heart's in the right place as well. So Enid is one of the names that's most popular out of the trio. It's already at number 990, and obviously literary feeling of Enid Blyton as well make it a really lovely choice, and one that I think is probably more wearable than a Mildred. Maud, there were only 9 babies named Maud last year. I think Maud could have real Mabel cool for it going in a few years. I see it being really wearable because it's kind of got that beginning of like Audrey, Maud, Maudry, would that be a name? And I just really, really like Maud. I think I've known a few cars named Maud. Or pets, but yeah, I think it's a really, really gorgeous one. And then Ethel, there were 31 Ethels last year, but it's literally come from nowhere and it is smack bang in the charts all of a sudden. So actually Ethel is on the rise. My cousin married a girl called Ethel. She's Estonian and they say Etel, which is really lovely, and then we're all like Ethel, but it's made me really love the name. She's such a lovely person, and it's just a gorgeous name, and yeah, coming right back into style. So that's The Worst Witch, remember them. And the rain stopped. Yeah. Do I have to start again? No. The Railway Children. I admit this wasn't something I remember reading, but it sort of feels like it's still part of my childhood. But I really love the name Phillis from The Railway Children. So I'm going to actually read this book now because it sounds like a really fun story all about kind of a wrongful conviction and like releasing someone from prison, which I had no idea about. Just kind of have seen the famous images of the Railway Children so much. But only about 3 to 5 baby girls named Phillis over the last few years, so it is a real outsider one, but it does have that old literary heroine cool to it. I can see if you were rewriting or casting a modern story, Phillis could be a really interesting choice as a name, and I really like it. It sounds very, very floral to me. It is kind of floral because it means leafy foliage. It's very specific. A leafy foliage or a green bough. So it is linked to nature, Phillis. It's just really pretty, and I actually think that Phil is a really cute nickname for a girl. I know a couple of girls whose nicknames are Phil for Philippa, and I think it always sounds quite sweet. So what do you think of Phillis? So I had to look into Roald Dahl and Dahl books. They were my favourites growing up, like so many of us, and his names were quite classic. You know, you had like James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and those names have kind of stood the test of time. Even Matilda has become really, really popular now, one of his main heroines. So I was trying to look at all the names, and I came across something which surprised me. You guys probably know this, and I didn't, which is that Roald Dahl wrote the screenplay for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know why I feel like I should have known that. Like, I feel like it's like, how did I not know? As if it was like something everyone should know. Ian Fleming wrote the novel and Roald Dahl wrote the screenplay, which just blew my mind because I had no idea. And it's such a famous thing, and it was a movie that I really grew up with. I was addicted to Trudy Scrumptious. I thought I was going to be just like Trudy Scrumptious when I grew up. I loved her so much. And I think now with Khloe Kardashian using the name True is one of my favourite celebrity names ever. And then something really cute happened where Evelina, we were watching Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, why on earth, no idea, and she took her first steps during the Truly Scrumptious song. I've got it as a highlight on my Instagram, and it was just really cute. So I just really love the name Truly, and a lot of his names other than that are very, very classic, but I did love that little fact and that little name. Who remembers Watership Down? So Watership Down was a book about a family of rabbits, a little group of rabbits, and one of them has the sense that they're not going to be safe, and 9 of them take off on this adventure to try to get to safety in this like sort of utopia place called Watership Down. I have watched the movie like once, and then my mum banned me ever again because I think she said I was just so traumatized. Like I couldn't even watch Lassie when I was little. I just was such an emotional child. Shock horror. But I love the names in Watership Down. So the main rabbit is called Hazel, and he's a boy, and Hazel has become, obviously it's the colour, it's the nut, it's a very vintage name. It's so well worn for girls now, but was actually a boy name originally, and makes a lovely name. Would you ever use it for a boy? Haze, H-A-Z-E, without the L, I've seen on a few lists popping up for boys. But I actually think that Hazel makes a really good boy name, but I think it is tough to switch when something has been so well used for girls, and is romping up the charts for girls as well. It's at 179. And at Green Gables, lots of us loved it, absolutely loved it. So Anne, I've really like the name. I've had it on a few lists. I think it should be coming up through the ranks again. It is, where is it in the moment? It's only number 1136, which is crazy. It is so pretty, and I think after The Greatest Showman, when she was called Anne, I just really fell back in love with the name again, and I think it's going to be one of those that really needs to start to get back into classic use. Gilbert, her love interest, we really like that name. It's at number 1235 for boys, not in a huge amount of use, but Gilbert, again, I think Gil, Bertie is a nickname, is going to be one that we're going to start to see on the rise, is my prediction. I would even go personally with the name Avonlea. I think it is so lovely. So Anne, that was the town, the fictional place where they lived, Avonlea, and it's just like such a gorgeous name, especially with Everleigh being such a popular name. Avonlea works perfectly. Yes, apparently it was on the northern shore of Prince Edward Island on a small peninsula, if you want to know the mythical geographical location, why would you? But I just think it's such a gorgeous name. So you could even imagine having Anne, Avonlea and Gilbert, triplets, and people would be like, oh, I know where you got those names from. Oh yes, I've got the ranking on Sophie. So Sophie's ranked at number 17. It's actually a bit of a downward decline. And also wanted to mention Sophie from The Tiger That Came to Tea. This is one of my all-time favourite books to read to the kids. And I feel like if you're not a mum yet, or if you've just got a new baby, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I really remember that story. And it's one where the tiger comes and drinks all the drink and eats all the food, and they can't have a bath because he drinks all the water from the taps. And they go out to this cafe late at night. It was like the ultimate adventure when I was little. It's so old fashioned, but my kids still really enjoy it. And it's one that's really stood the test of time. And the little girl's named Sophie in that. So Sophie is just, it's going to be a classic. It's going to stay around for so long. It suits a little baby as much as it suits a grown up. So definitely one to think of if you like either of those books. Going to the Magic Faraway Tree. The Magic Faraway Tree, how much do you want to have one of those like honey biscuits that popped in your mouth, and it was this magical world where these kids, and their mum just seemed cool about it, used to just go off during the day, climb this tree, and at the top there were spinning worlds, and they would get off at different worlds and have to come back down. Each chapter was a different world. It was my all-time, if I said this about everything, I loved it. There was a period of my life when I was obsessed with the Magic Faraway Tree. I read it to the kids, they love it, and we played the Magic Faraway Tree on the roundabout at the playground. Top tip, it's really good fun. So Moonface, no. Even I won't give you the name Moonface, but the kids were Jo, Bessie and Fanny, and now Fanny is named Franny in the new books. None of those names are around. Jo obviously is around a bit. Bessie I really like, obviously it's a nickname for Elizabeth. Is at number 1272, and I really like it. I love Bess. I think I love Bess more, but Bessie, if I had a Bess, I'd probably always end up calling her Bessie. There's also some of the character names like Pixie. Do you remember the angry Pixie, who's like really not very nice? And I think like Trap's one of them with like all the stuff in the chute at one point. But Pixie as a name is at number 427 and is very reminiscent of the Magic Faraway kind of books and this whole kind of genre really. And then there was a fairy called Silky, which again I'm not going to suggest as a name, but someone just texted me, stop it. But I just thought I would say it because I loved Silky when I was little. These are real niche, but I just wanted to share them. Who else loves point romance or point horror books? And then it was just point as well. They were like all anyone read when I was like a teenager. I was point romance, my best friend was point horror. And my absolutely favourite point romance book, I read it every winter, was Summer Dreams, Winter Love. And I'm not going to dwell on it for too long because I don't know how many of you have read it, but if you have, let me know, because I know that she had two friends with great names. The main character that I realised is called Ellen Marlowe, and I only just found that out when I was researching this list. I was like, how funny, because I loved the name Marlowe for my daughter, loved it. It was right up there, like she was either going to be Evelina or Marlowe, and Marlowe means on a hill by a lake, which is perfect for Sweden. And I had no idea that this character that literally every winter I would read the book. And then do you remember Point Horror? The Babysitter. That was, I don't know why on earth my friend thought it would be okay for me to read that, and her name was Jenny in The Babysitter. Jenny is actually such a popular name over in Sweden and Scandinavia still, but here it's only number 1272, and I think it's really lovely. And I was actually thinking Jennifer, which is hardly ranked at all, it's so low. I can imagine making a comeback as Friends has become so popular again, having its mad revival. Jennifer Aniston. The name Jennifer, actually, I suddenly thought, it's actually really lovely. And it was originally a derivative of Guinevere, which is a name that I absolutely love. Obviously King Arthur's queen, Guinevere, and then it became Jennifer, Jenny for short, Jen. I just think it's really, really lovely. Like, it's one of those I haven't really thought about, because you just kind of like think of it as a bog standard name because you hear it so often. It was so popular for a long time. Wilbur is one of my favourite boy names. I love it. I had it on my list had Evelina been a boy, because I wanted Wilfred, but I already had a Freddie, and then I went to Wilbur. Really liked it. It is the pig in Charlotte's Web, which again was one of those books that loads of people were obsessed with when I was younger, but I don't think I've even read it or seen the movie or know hardly anything about it, but everyone else did. Maybe we had it read to us at school or something. Charlotte obviously is a beautiful name, and Wilbur is just such a cute one, but if you loved Charlotte's Web when you were younger, you could think, oh yeah, that really makes me love Wilbur a little bit more. And last up, I think unisex name, Andersen. So Hans Christian Andersen wrote all of the books. So my favourite was Princess and the Pea, and when she had to go and sleep on all those high mattresses and see if she could feel the pea, and then she was like, oh, it's bruised my leg, and he's like, you are a princess. I loved that when I was little for some reason. Obviously Hansel and Gretel, and a lot of these were Danish folk tales that he wrote, and people thought he was a bit crazy, and now obviously they're absolutely huge. So it's like, obviously you could go with Hansel, you could go with Gretel, but I actually really liked Andersen by itself, and I think it's a great way of kind of having that whole collection. You could get all the vintage books and like share them, and Anders is a great nickname, Sunny is a great nickname, and Andersen though is stomping up the charts as well. It's at number 1061 for boys, but literally like a new hitter, big hitter. I think like maybe like Hudson and all those Sun endings, the surname as first name is a massive trend, and this hits a lot of ticks, the literary, the fairy tale, the kind of romance of it, and being Andersen. And I was like, could you have a girl named Andersen? I think it would be super, super trendy. Andy I've always liked as a girl's name. I think it's really, really lovely. But yes, let me know what you think. So that's my list. There's tons I could add to it. I would love you to carry on this list in the comment section below, and I will read them all as always and get back to you. It's a brilliant way of finding names, and just had so much fun researching this list, as you can tell, because I loved books so much growing up. I was so bookish. Surprise, surprise. And yeah, just so many lovely memories of like being by myself reading in a corner. Those were the good old days. Anyway, don't forget to join in the comment section below. Don't forget to let me know if there are any birth announcements and to request a list for next week. We're nearly at 100,000, so whoever requests my 100,000 name list, I'll definitely be doing a giveaway. Please, please, please subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with a friend who is naming a baby. They will love you forever if you help them find a baby name. Yeah, let's see if you let me know if you want me to do a requests video. And don't forget about Wednesday. Come here to my channel. There's going to be a bonus video, something super duper duper exciting. I will see you then. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.